you were prosecutor for a long time, career prosecutor, and the U.S. attorney. So you prosecuted cases of people in public office and so forth. You're on the other side at this point. Why did you take this case?
I took the case because I was asked by Craig and Hannah and others. It is, as I said, I didn't know her well. I know her to be a good person. I think I had a good role to fill because I was so familiar with the federal system. I guess history can judge whether I was or was not the right person for this. But I think the team, recognizing that I'm not your traditional defense attorney, we had traditional defense attorneys all around me going forward. We look at this as, well, it doesn't matter who's in power. If you give the chief executive this power and you don't give this power to the state elected judiciary, you eventually are going to have changes of power, in whatever county or whatever president. And so that is another, okay, obviously immigration is a big issue right now, but there'll be another big issue. And there were big issues under, Joe Biden. And so if the federal executive branch does things and it's not like they can't, this is all or nothing proposition, but it's a balancing. And, these balancings are going to apply to Wisconsin judges in other counties and Wisconsin judges in other counties under other presidents. Given my background as a prosecutor and also, somebody who's been appointed by a Republican president, is it's important to think of the long arc of history on just how the balance of power should be resolved. And an executive branch is always going to want to push for more power. And again, it's not just this administration. Any student of history will say there are very few presidents. I think we can go back to Calvin Coolidge, who's about the only president in the last 100 plus years who wanted to have a much more restrained executive.
You talked a lot about the character of Judge Dugan. Give us any sense how she's holding up? You talked about it being a disappointing night.
She's a lawyer and a judge and been at this for a long time. I mean, obviously it's very personal. She has a good support system, and I think she's a good person, and I hope, she'll get past this. One way or another, this is as I said to the jury in opening, this most important week of her professional life, and there's not a lot that's going to change that in the future.
So what's the long term here? Is it the appeal on the immunity issue?
Well, I think it's all of the above.
Okay.
We have an immediate briefing schedule, and if that's successful, terrific. And then we'll see what happens after that or how the judge rules. As you guys know, so much happened in the trial in such a short period of time. It seems like every day is almost a week, given the number of witnesses, the number of issues that got raised. And you go back and you're like, well, what about this or what about this? And it's in such isolation that you really need to have the whole transcript. And obviously that's what we'll get as we prepare the motions.